racing at Newmarket got underway at 1:55 with a 10 furlong apprentice race. They all ran 20. There was one jockey change. Number 20, Devil's Soul, was the mount of G. Milligan, who claimed £6. On the off, number 3, Quavering, and number 10, Swordstick, were the 13-2 joint favourites.
They're under starters' orders and they're off.
And away they go. Flying down to Rio was a little slow to stride. Out well on the inside was Belafonte with Quavering, and then just behind these is Dawn Success. In the centre, showing good early speed, is Comstock with Petite Rosanna. And then just tucked in behind the leaders is Biennial and the Feltmaker. Then Mind the Step towards the inside. Flying down to Rio has made up a yard or two as they head through the first couple of furlongs and entering the Rowley Mile. And it's Quavering who takes them along ahead of Petite Rosanna. Then Comstock towards the outside. Dawn Success on the inner. After these comes Biennial from the Feltmaker and flying down to Rio. Then Pride of Storm and Prime Prospect. Halcapoose on the outside of Song of Sixpence. Then Reeve Jamel, and Pelorus has only got a few behind him. They are Ratage Victory. Also out the back is Swordstick as they go down inside the final 3/4 of a mile. And it's still Quavering out in front. Comstock well there on the outside. Then Petite Rosanna and Dawn Success bunching up front. They enter the final 5 furlongs back to the grandstand.
And Quavering still in the lead by a couple of lengths to Petite Rosanna, being pushed along behind them Belafonte. On the near side, flying down to Rio, just niggled now. Comstock wider out with the noseband. Halcapoose with the red visor. Pelorus getting dangerously close on the outside from Prime Prospect, and further back then is Pride of Storm, the Feltmaker in the black cap, the near side. But they've got to catch Quavering. 3 in front at this stage from Comstock, then Prime Prospect, Halcapoose, and Pelorus running a big race. Pride of Storm is just behind them from the Feltmaker. Reeve Jamel in the green cap over on the far side. They come now inside the final 2 furlongs now, and it's Halcapoose taking over narrowly, tackled immediately by Pelorus in the spotted cap. Then follows Prime Prospect from Reeve Jamel. Pelorus takes the lead inside the final furlong. Reeve Jamel, though, the big danger on the far side from Prime Prospect. He gets to work now with a whip on Pelorus. He's a half length in front of Reeve Jamel. It's Pelorus about a half in front and holding on in the run to the light, and old Pelorus gets there from Reeve Jamel. Third then was Prime Prospect, and a gap then to the Feltmaker, pretty tight for fourth.
First, number 12, Pelorus at 8-1. Second, number 19, Reeve Jamel at 16-1. Third, number 13, Prime Prospect at 14-1. And the fourth also, number 14, the Feltmaker at 16-1. And starting to the Dubai Champion Stakes, a Group 1 event run over 10 furlongs. Number on the here was number 2, Sickerston. That left 12, and there were no changes. On the off, last year's winner, In the Groove, was the 4-1 favourite.
They're under starters' orders. They're off.
For the Dubai Champion Stakes, and Glitty jumped out well with Dolpour, and it's Dolpour and Glitty who go on with Terraman the rail, very prominent indeed. And as they settle down through the first furlong, it's Terraman who bags the early advantage under Michael Roberts, followed through by Cruachan. Then Dolpour close up with Tel Quell. After these is Young Buster in a sheepskin noseband. In midfield now Glitty. After Glitty, Star of Gdansk the rail with Stagecraft, then Rissner and Environment Friend, and at the back at the moment are Marju and In the Groove, both being held up. They've covered more than a quarter mile, and it's Terramon who takes them along by a length to Cruachan. They pass the 7. After these is Tel Quell with Dolpour close up. Young Buster is lobbing along in behind the leaders, then Glitty and Star of Gdansk. Next then moving up is Stagecraft from Environment Friend and Rissner, and still keeping each other company at the back are Marju and In the Groove as they approach the final 5 furlongs in the Champion Stakes. It's Terraman and Cruachan disputing the lead, followed by Tel Quell, Dolpour, Young Buster close up. 4.5 left to go. Back to the grandstand.
And Terrim on the inside, still the leader from Cruachan. Dolpour in the green cap on the outside, poised. In behind them is Tel Quell, further back Young Buster. Glitty on the outside as they leave the half mile behind them. Star of Gdansk being ridden along from Stagecraft. Environment Friends hard ridden out wide. Further back in the groove, Rissner's well back in the field now as they pass the 3 furlong marker. And the leader on the inside now is Cruachan, got through to take it up now from Tel Quell. Terrimon can't go on. Then follows Young Buster, Dolpour down the outside. Rissner from a long way back and in the groove, trying to force a way out inside the 2 furlong marker though. And Croakin has stolen a march, went a length and a half in front of Telquel, then Young Bustner, Ristner flying and then in the groove. But that's Croakin on the inside. Telquel's the big danger though inside the final furlong. The French raider Telquel raised up on the outside to tackle Croakin. They're going stride for stride. Croakin and Telquel very tight. Telquel from Croakin, just behind them Ristner, then out wide in the groove who ran on.
First number 11, Telquel at 16 to 1. Second number 6, Croakin at 8 to 1. The third also number 5, In the Groove, the 4 to 1 favourites. And so on to the 305, the Houghton Stakes for 2-year-olds on over 7 furlongs. They all ran 5, there were no changes. On the off, number 3, Wabash Valley was the 2 to 1 favourite.
Away for the Houghton Stakes, and Massad with the bright white face jumps out first ahead of Shualan, then towards the outside Hamanaka and Kirsten, and Wabash Valley, who was very free to post, is being restrained in the early stages, and the pace is being set by Massad by a length to Shualan, then Hamanaka on the outside, followed through by Wabash Valley, and Kirsten is tucked in behind the leader Massad towards the inside. Massad bowling along, they head past the 5 pole and down towards the 4. It's Massad from Shualan, then Kirsten on the inside, Hamanaka out wide, then Wabash Valley still very keen to get on with it towards the outside of the field as they head down to halfway. Massad still by a length, Shualan just being niggled along now in second. Kirsten's running away on the inside, then Hamanaka, who looks flat to the boards. Wabash Valley still being held up at the back as they head down towards the final 2.5 furlongs. It's Massad stepping on the gas now ahead of Shualan, then Kirsten, who's going to try and come between these 2 horses. Hamanaka's well beat and Wabash Valley won't be winning at this stage. They run into the dip and Massad now tackled on the outside by Shualan. It's Shualan who noses ahead of Massad, who's fighting back. These have kicked away from Kirsten inside the final furlong. Shualan goes a half length to Massad. It's Shualan galloping ahead of Massad. Shualan wins the Houghton Stakes from Massad in second, then Kirsten in third. A long yawning gap to Hamanaka in fourth.
First number 2, Shualan at 7 to 2. And second number 1, Massad at 11 to 4. And so on to the 345, the Tate Cesarewitch, run over 2 miles and 2 furlongs. They were around 22. There's one jockey change. Number 13, Brandon Prince, was the mount of Richard Fox. On the off, number 9, Tamapour, representing Pipe and Piggott, was the 5 to 1 favourite.
Away to a pretty good start too, down near the inside. The first away, Besito, up there as well as Honey Dancer in the early stages. Just dropping in behind them early is Good Hand as they sort themselves out, crossing over Provence in company there with Go South. Gay Glints on the outside as well. Further back is Northwold Star player in a pretty prominent position. Postage Stamp is now pulling his way up on the outside. Besito, though, with a light blue noseband, the leader by a couple of lengths to Provence as they settle down. Then on the outside, all is revealed with Northwold Star, and behind them out wide is Postage Stamp with a yellow cap. In behind them at this stage is Lofty Lady, followed then by Provence. Back on the inside there is Good Hand as they've covered the best part of half a mile in the Tate Cesarewitch, and the leader is still Besito.
Zito taking them along then with Postage Stamp very prominent towards the outside. Tucked in behind them is Northwold Star, and Provence is very handy towards the inside. Then chasing up these leaders is Good Hand with a very bright white blaze down his face. On the outside, all is revealed in the leading bunch as they head inside the final mile and a half. Postage Stamp now takes over from Besito. Then all is revealed very close. Then Northwold Star and Gay Glint has a handy position. Provence has the rail, and then behind Provence, Lofty Lady from Good Hand, and then back to Honey Dancer on the outside of Go South. Making ground behind these is Art Form, then after Art Form, Hieroglyphic from Star Player, then on the inside is Farzi from Tamapour as they begin the run towards the home turn. It's Postage Stamp who skipped away by 2 or 3 lengths at this stage as they begin a right-hand turn. Postage Stamp from Besito, and then all is revealed. On the outside is Northwold Star from Gay Glint, then Provence, and then a gap of a length or so to Lofty Lady. Next is Good Hand on the inside with Arce Lad creeping forward. A gap then to Honey Dancer on the outside of Farzi from Art Form. Then very very back in the field is Hieroglyphic, who's got work to do on the outside of Go South. Then Star Player, a length and a half. On the outside of Star Player comes Muse, then Tamapur, who's well back in the field. Then after Tamapur is Render Thief with Hatham, and then behind Hatham is Tarodont, and Brandon Prince is last of all as they head inside the Rowley Mile. It's postage stamped by 2.5 lengths to Bazito. Then making ground on the outside is Bardolph. Then Northwold Star pushed along. Go South making ground on the inside of Provence, but postage stamp has skipped away as they enter the final 3/4 of a mile in the Cesarewitch. It's postage stamped by 4 lengths at this stage from Bazito. Then Bardolph on the outside. Go South. Lofty Ladies making a forward move. Arce Lad is pushed along. They've got 4.5 furlongs left to go. Postage stamp out in front, back to the grandstand.
And postage stamp trying to hold on. Bardolph running on very strongly with Lofty Lady in behind them. Farsi running a big race past the half mile. A gap back in the field at this stage. Gay Glint from Art Form and Hieroglyphic out pretty wide, but postage stamp now gobbled up on the outside by Bardolph. A half length away then is Lofty Lady. They're clear of Farsi, pulled out now. The grey inside the 3. Further back is Hieroglyphic from Art Form Provence. Tamapur's not there at all, right out the back as they come now inside the final 2.5, and on the outside it's Bardolph who's raced up to take over from postage stamp and Lofty Lady. Farsi's running on strongly, followed by Go South, Hieroglyphic, Star Player. It's Bardolph in front from postage stamp. Go South going for a run between them is the big danger. It's Bardolph in front. Go South gets the run, gets the split, takes it and goes on now, and Go South clearing away near the line. Go South goes on to win the Says. In second placing Bardolph, out wider then is Farsi third, and it's tight for fourth between on the inside Hieroglyphic, and also there in that photo is postage stamp.
First number 19, Go South at 33-1. Second number 16, Bardolph, also at 33-1. Third number 20, Farsi at 12-1. The fourth also number 7, Hieroglyphic at 6-1. The 420 race was the Oliver Dewey Memorial Handicap Stakes run over 6 furlongs. They all ran 19 and there were no changes. On the off, number 15, Petrarco, was the 8-1 favourite.
Away they go, Prononymous a little slow to stride. Out well was Petrarco in the centre. The rail is Punch and Run with Dry Point also showing good speed. And on settling down through the first furlong, Petrarco in the centre and the sheepskin noseband showing lots of early speed with Dry Point, Punch and Run stand side. Bertie Wooster is bright white face showing prominently on the far side. Chasing Petrarco is Let's Be Honest About It. Very wide of the field is Fateful with Maznan out there. And then behind the leaders at this stage is Hard to Figure and Arturian. Luna Bit being scrubbed along. Panikin makes ground, as does Welsh Secret as they head down towards halfway. It's Petrarco in the centre. Punch and Run on the stand side with Welsh Secret and Dry Point. In the centre behind these is Panikin, then Arturian. Out very deep on the track is Let's Be Honest About It, who's staging a big challenge. Fateful is next, then Maznan, and they're inside the final furlong and a half. On the far side, Let's Be Honest About It, stand side Punch and Run with Welsh Secret and Petrarco. Running on well is Hard to Figure in the centre. It's Punch and Run from Hard to Figure. These two go on together. Punch and Run stand side. Hard to Figure wearing him down. They are in the shadows of the post. Hard to Figure just from Punch and Run. A blanket for the minor placings with Dry Point, Petrarco, and Let's Be Honest About It, all very close.
First number 4, Hard to Figure at 10-1. Second number 9, Punch and Run at 12-1. Third number 6, Let's Be Honest About It at 12-1. The fourth also number 15, Petrarco, the 8-1 favourite. And so on to the 450 race, the TNT Aviation Bentrick Stakes ran over 5 furlongs. Number on the hill was number 4, El Yassaf, that left 10, and there were no changes. On the off, number 1, Blighton Lad, was the 4-1 favourite.
They go for the Bentinck Stakes over 5 furlongs, and on the far side On Tiptoes out with Parios, but Parios shows the way from On Tiptoes. In the centre, Fura Jet. Out wide is Sizzling Saga with Blighton Lad. These are followed by Math Kerr. Racing alone in the centre is Mujadil. Behind these is Hinari Televideo as they go through the first furlong or so, and Parios has paced to burn early on, 3 lengths clear of On Tiptoes. It's Parios from On Tiptoes, then Fura Jet and Blighton Lad from Math Kerr and from Mujadil pushed along. Next is Medador from Sizzling Saga, Hinari Televideo and Snardy, who's got work to do. Below the two, Parios coming back to them slightly now as On Tiptoes gets on terms. Then Blighton Lad running on in third from Math Kerr, Sizzling Saga, and then Fura Jed inside the distance. On Tiptoes goes ahead from the weakening Parios. Blighton Lad is staying on well. It's On Tiptoes only a half length to Blighton Lad. On Tiptoes holding on from Blighton Lad. Fura Jed running on well behind that. Then Math Kerr and Parios.
First, number 11, On Tiptoes, 9-2, co-second favourite of 3. Second, number 1, Blighton Lad, the 4-1 favourite. And third, number 9, Furajets at 7-1. The final race on the Newmarket card was the 5:25, the Westfield House Handicap, ran over a mile. They all ran 23 and there were no changes. On the off, number 8, Full Cry, was the 3-1 favourite.
A mile this time. Foolish Touch was a little slow to stride. Mystic Crystal out well with Neroli down the outside. Also prominent is Access Flyer. And they're very tightly bunched as they go through the first furlong. It's Mystic Crystal, Access Flyer with Unanimous prominent. Neroli, just in behind them is Croft Valley. Mel's Rose has a very prominent position at this stage. Chasing the leaders is USA Dollar with Shining Jewel in a sheepskin noseband. Towards the outside making ground is Crossillion. At the back at the moment a Distant Home and Foolish Touch who's being scrubbed along, and just in front of those is Ballerina Bay as they go towards the final 5 furlongs. Bunching up front, Access Flyer very prominent with Neroli and Mystic Crystal over to the grandstand.
Yes, great battle up front as we see Mystic Crystal Unanimous fighting it out there with Mel's Rose with a sheepskin noseband. On the outside is Croft Valley. Neroli ridden along now. Access Flyer just dropping back a little bit now from Abdicate. Shining Jewel in behind them. Further back in the field as they run down now. And the leader is still Mystic Crystal from Mel's Rose under pressure. Then Unanimous, Croft Valley behind them. Wider out USA Dollar, Crossillion. Bourneville called on for an effort and Foolish Touch with the noseband right down the centre. Mel's Rose the leader though as they approach the final furlong from Unanimous. Then Mystic Crystal, USA Dollar, Bourneville, a line of 5. Foolish Touch out wide. Mel's Rose still boxing on though inside the final furlong now. And it's Mel's Rose grabbed now by USA Dollar. Unanimous fighting on from Bourneville. And just behind them Croft Valley's absolutely swamping them. USA Dollar in front. Croft Valley flying and got up I reckon. Croft Valley got up from USA Dollar. Bourneville, Mel's Rose just behind them.
First, number 10, Croft Valley at 12-1. Second, number 18, USA Dollar at 14-1. And it was a dead heat for third between number 9, Bourneville, who was 20-1, and number 13, Mel's Rose.